Says you're live.
All my life I had to fight. Okay. We all my life I had to fight. Hey, wait a minute. Why do I hear myself in my own headphones? Guys, I hear myself in my own headphones and I don't know. Oh my God. What is up, everybody? Okay, I know what it was. Hey, what is up, everybody? We are back in the building. We're gonna get right into it because it's a late one. I know everybody has to go to work in the morning. I know the kids are going back to school, thank God. Pray the Lord. And it's a beautiful Sunday night. And in a perfect world, or at least in the perfect world that I envision, you are settling down with your children, or by yourself, or with your girlfriend, boyfriend, or whoever you with. And you are preparing for tomorrow. We have all made it into a new year. Um, and for that, we can all be grateful. But as the new year approaches, there's something that we all tend to do. We all tend to look for a way to better ourselves, some way to improve who we are over who we were last year. Last year just being a few days ago. All my life, all my life, I've heard this like it's almost like a cliche idea, right? All my life I've heard that African American people are the victims. All my life I've heard this saying. History is not really history. It's just his story, right? There's an old saying that the victor writes the history. African American people in this country for a very long time have conceded the idea or lived based on the idea that our narrative coming down through the centuries is not actually our narrative. In fact, it is merely the narrative that has been assigned to us by the powers that be. In this case, the powers that be would be the European who enslaved us in America and in many other locations around the Western Hemisphere and subjugated us to what many people have described as inhuman bondage. In his controlling us, in his enslaving us, he gained control over not only our religious or spiritual beliefs, he gained control over our language, what we ate, what we wore, our uniforms or the clothes that we put on our backs. And he ultimately gained control over our story and our history. And a lot of us just accepted that as fact. And there are many people who even to this day have a inherent distrust of historical narratives, historical timelines as they concern the African American people, because we all understand that we did not write or inscribe that history or record that history. But I got a bone to pick with Black America tonight. And I'm not trying to get nobody riled up, and I'm not trying to make nobody blood pressure go up. But for a group of damn people who have complained for decades, centuries, about not being able to control our narrative, about not being able to control our history, about the white man muddying the historical waters, so to speak. Why is it that now, when we have the advent of technology, the internet, these cameras and laptops and cell phones, these tools with which we can inscribe or record our own historical narrative, why is it that we continue to let others control the narrative about us? That's my question to you today. Why is it that we continue to let other people tell our story? And more importantly, why does it seem to me that other people care more about what happens to us than we do? Or at least what happens to us collectively? I'm looking at a story where 14 people have been mowed down by a terrorist on Bourbon Street in Louisiana. That's our shit, right? That's what we say. That's us, right? Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Bourbon. That's all us. That's the culture. We running things down there. Everybody's mimicking what we do. They copy us. They want to be like us. This is what we say, right? That's what the FBA narrative, right? Narrative is, right? Kendrick Lamar. They not like us. They not like us, right? They're not like you, right? That's what we say. Well, if they're not like us, that has to be something like a pat on the back, because they aren't like us. Because I'm looking at an act of terrorism that occurred in a stronghold of Black identity in America. And 3 to 4 days later, you niggas ain't even giving a damn about it no more. And y'all already done moved on to who Skip Bayless is trying to fuck. I got Black folks sending me messages. Oh man, did you hear about Skip Bayless? Did you hear about what Skip Bayless? A white dude, a cracker, straight up. A dude who literally people accused of having acted racist, being a racist, or who was the author of a racially motivated termination of a certain Shannon Sharpe, disrespect that led to Shannon Sharpe choosing to leave their sports show. And I look at Black people, and I look at the situation with the Mississippi Valley marching band, right? And I see Black folks all over Twitter and all over Instagram, and they're shaming these young students, these young band members, because they want to go down to Washington to play at the inauguration of President-elect Donald Trump. And of course, that's totally ignorant. We're very hypocritical, obviously, in that way. But the bigger narrative in this for me is, how did we just have an absolute tragedy occur in a stronghold of Black culture and Black identity in the United States of America? And 3 days later, it's like Black people just don't even give a damn about it. And it brought me back as I was driving to that saying, it's not history, it's his story. And I came to the conclusion that maybe the person who writes the history is the person who actually gives a fuck about recording it. Because if I look at Black America, we don't give a damn about our narrative. We don't give a damn about what history will say about us in the next 50 or 60 or 70 years. All we give a damn about is being ahead or on top of what is trendy. Because a tragedy happened in a Black stronghold. Tendaji, this is where you from, New Orleans. And it's like no one even cares. And then it made me think about Katrina and what we learned after Katrina about who we are as a people. What did I learn about Black people after Hurricane Katrina? that we didn't give a shit back then, and we don't give a shit now. Because a hurricane, these levees broke, drowned thousands of people, killed thousands of people, displaced thousands of people, and made thousands of black people homeless. And did the city of New Orleans use that as a moment to come together and appeal to the humanity within every single citizen of that city and use that as the start of a new era in the city of New Orleans? Hell no, they didn't. Negroes still gunning each other down with automatic weapons. Negroes still trying to kill each other over some dusty little heifer. Negroes still trying to shoot each other outside the damn club. Niggas still trying to ride down on the ops. And Negroes are still over there acting just as barbaric as ever, even after a tragic event like Hurricane Katrina. I remember when Kanye West got on live television and said, George Bush don't give a fuck about black people. And back then, I thought that was powerful. But all these years later, I say, damn, do black people even give a fuck about black people? Do black people even care about the places that they call home? Do black people even give a damn about the places that hold the secrets to our identity? The key to who we really are? The places that we have been since before recorded history placed us there, according to some of us. Do we care about the sacred spaces where the traditional African spirituality took root and still plays a major role in this country? It survived a voyage across the Atlantic Ocean and made it here, and not only survived, but it thrived until our day. Do we give a damn about that? Or are we just focused on the next trending topic that allows us to hate on Whitey? Are we focused on the next trending topic that allows us to bash another group of black people for wanting to do something that could change their lives, or wanting to do something that for them is a once in a lifetime experience? It's not easy to juxtapose black people hating on each other with black people simply being apathetic when it comes to tragedy that occurs in our midst. But really, when it comes to our community, this seems to be par for the course. The black community is radicalized and vulnerable. And if we are not careful about where we are in the stream of time, we will find ourselves on the losing end of every single situation in this country. You have black men being terrorized. And when people think of terrorism, they always think of blowing something up, right? They think of some act of violence that is committed to a person or a group of people. But what if I told you that African Americans are facing terrorism all around? On every front, the African American man, woman, and child is under a terroristic attack. We have a man, Shamud. I think his name was Shamshud, or whatever his name was. The man who carried out the tragic, horrible terrorist attack on Bourbon Street in New Orleans. Recently, the man had been divorced for the second time. All reports say that the man was enduring a extremely difficult financial hardship following his second divorce. And even though Shamud committed such a heinous, disgusting act, it made me think about the terroristic attack that black men are under in this country. Our families aren't families anymore. If you are brave enough to attempt to build a family, it's almost as if from day one, you got the world fighting against you to tear down everything that you built. Shamoud was under his second divorce, not his first, but his second one. A person who was in the military, a person who probably already had endured much psychological trauma that seems to be synonymous with service in the United States military, not only as a black man, but as any person. PTSD and different psychological issues that our soldiers face when they leave their service or they finish their tour of service in the American Armed Forces. What about that terrorism that Shamoud had to undergo? Trying to create a family in a culture, in a country that every day is becoming more anti-family, more individualistic, more radically individualistic, to the point where if you even talk about the union of a man, a woman, and children together under one roof, you're almost scoffed at or criticized. What about that terrorism that Shamoud was undergoing? What about the hardships that our women face? The terrorist attacks against them and their uterus every day, being bombarded with anti-life propaganda. Every day being told that if they actually want to operate within the basic natural function of the female gender, having children, reproducing, procreating, they in some way are betraying themselves in the fake sisterhood of feminism that dominates this North American theater. That's terrorism. The idea that you have an entire segment of our country that will turn against you and victimize you if you don't agree with every single thing they believe verbatim, that alone is enough to strike terror into the heart of the vast majority of people here. And I look at the terrorist attack on Bourbon Street in New Orleans, and I say, damn, that was bad. That's terrorism. A guy running people over with a makeshift bomb in his car, gets out shooting people ready to do damage. I say, but you know what? We're dealing with more terrorism than that. What about the terrified feeling that you get when anything happens to you? Or you see something happen to someone else and you say, damn, that could have been me. And you look at your community and your community is in shambles. And there's one thing that you know for sure. If something terrible did happen to you, there's a very low likelihood that your community would be there to give you the support and provide the resources that you so desperately need. That's a form of terrorism. What about the fact that if you have a once in a lifetime opportunity to go down to Washington and play as a band for the United States president-elect as a HBCU, schools that rarely get opportunities like this offered to them? What about the terror of being a person in that band who really wants to go do something that could be life-changing, a once in a lifetime experience, but you have to be terrified that if you go do something that's good for you, you will become pariah within your own community? It really bothers me. It really bothers me that it seems like we don't give a damn about what's going on in our community collectively. I get on the internet and I hear people talking about black people don't need no leaders. Black people don't need no leaders. There's no leaders to this movement or that movement or this movement that we didn't start it. And I say, well, God damn it. If you don't have a leader, then how do you know where you need to go? That's only in the black community. Guys, show me the other community where people celebrate this idea of not needing leadership. Please tell me. Identify the community for me that openly and proudly says, we don't need no leader. You show me that community and I'll show you the black community. And guess what? When I show you the black community, I'll show you a community that is on the bottom of every other group, statistically speaking. it's enough to make you lose your hair. It's enough to make you punch the air. The way the black community stubbornly refuses to accept reality when it comes to the way in which the world is going. We refuse to accept reality when it comes to the fact that we are going to have to change some things about the way we operate in this country. We're going to have to learn and unlearn some things to survive for the next 100 years in this country, because we will either be bred out of this country, or we will be outright evicted from this country, or we will be turned on within this country by other groups. You can act like you don't you can act like you don't see it, but all you need to do is go on social media and you can see that other races and other groups of people are getting sick of black people's bullshit. There's some guy, he's like a producer for some rapper that no one's ever really heard of as far as I know. But he basically got on Instagram and was basically he was a drill rap producer. And he got on there and he started criticizing drill rappers. He started calling them out for talking about killing each other. He started calling them out for playing the victim card whenever something bad happens to them. He even called them out for not pulling up their fucking pants. And in the comments, when you go down the line, not only are there black people in there agreeing with everything he said, there are other groups of people in there saying, yep, it's always them. Anytime you see something bad happen, something crazy and heinous happen on the internet, look at who it is. They calling it blacktivities, right? Why is that? Why do you think everyone is able to see the true nature of many Negroes in this country? It's called technology. It's called the internet. You remember when black people went ham on the police departments around the nation and they demanded that all police officers be fitted with body cam footage so we can see what they're doing day to day when they're working among the American people? Do you remember that? And there was a new level of accountability introduced to the job or occupation of police officer or cop, citizen on patrol, right? And everybody celebrated that now the police would not be able to render arbitrary justice with impunity within underserved communities that were rampant with crime and violence. But what if I told you that the internet and these little things called cell phones are like a body cam for the average everyday person? What if I told you that now talking that jive, as they used to call it, something black people do well, is not enough? You can say whatever you want. You can argue in your defense all you want. But no longer are people listening and persuaded by your words, because they have this now to see who you really are as opposed to who you tell them you are. That's your indictment as the black community. That is you now with a new level of accountability every single time you go out the house. I watched a video of a woman attempting to steal out of Target. The police officer just so happened to be coming into Target as she was trying to walk out with a bunch of items that she didn't pay for. Now, we have a system now, or policies now, that are soft on crime. And because of these soft on crime policies, even the most cowardly among us has been emboldened to do things that they ordinarily would never do. You got people who would never steal now emboldened by soft on crime policies to walk into a store, fill up a basket full of items, and walk out of that store like they're the hardest gangster in the world. And the problem with this situation is that now, as cities move towards it starting to enforce the law once again, these cowardly people who otherwise would not commit crimes are now coming face to face with the consequences of their action. The cop walked into Target as the woman was coming out, and he noticed she was stealing. They had reported that she was stealing, and he says, "Hey, ma'am, come here." And he pulls out his handcuffs. Do you know this woman started running around the Target? The police officers chased her, and she said, "No, no, please, 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 just let me go. No, please, no, no." She throws the stuff down on the ground, the stuff she stole. Please, please. And now she's resisting arrest and fleeing from the scene of a crime. An absolute coward who's that afraid of even being handcuffed probably would have got a citation. But she's that deathly afraid of even being handcuffed that she's literally making her situation worse by running from the police. Now, if you're that scared of even getting handcuffed, why are you stealing? Well, you're stealing because someone has given you incentives to steal. They have made theft something that is no longer even looked at by many people as a crime. So you feel like you can do it and you'll never face the consequences of that. But this is the narrative that African American people allow to be projected to the rest of the world about us, not realizing that technology has now given people a new lens, a new window into the attitude and behavior of the African American that we can never argue against. See, back in the day, it was just their word against ours. Oh, he's saying that about me because he's a racist. But now, guess what? You got something called a silent witness. Remember when you would ride the school bus from school, and in the front of your school bus, if you had like the more modern school buses, they had a camera in the front of the school bus that recorded everything that happened on the school bus. It was called the silent witness. It was the camera that told on your ass when you was acting up on that damn bus, and even when you was lying to your mama trying to convince her that you were an absolute saint. That camera footage came out and it proved to your mama that this fool ain't no saint. He on that bus every day at school, cutting up, throwing stuff at people, fighting people, hitting people with his backpack, and all types of foolishness. That's what Black America is facing. The silent witness is identifying us. It is IDing us as the culprits of all sorts of heinous activity that for many, many decades we were able to lie to other people and other groups of people about and say, it ain't us, say it ain't so. They just racist. They just hating on the Black man, right? But the reality of all of this is one thing. Why is the Black community in such dire straits? Because when things happen, we want people to care about what's happening more than we care. We really don't give a damn about what's happening in New Orleans. We don't give a damn about what happened on Bourbon Street. We don't give a damn about 14 people losing their lives. We don't give a damn about what's happening down with Mississippi Valley State at HBCU and what's going on with Trump. All we're doing is chasing whatever's trendy and whatever gives us the opportunity to try to go after somebody and pummel them and victimize them with our words. That's all. Because last week it was about the white man doing something to you. Now, and you went in on him. Then earlier this week it was about the Indian coming into America, taking tech jobs and yada, 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 yada. And you had the opportunity to attack him. Now it's about Mississippi Valley State, a Black person doing something that you don't think they should do. Now you got the opportunity to attack them. And didn't I tell y'all a long time ago that the Black American is nothing more than the attack dog for white supremacy? And the black American hate whoever the white man tell him to hate or tell her to hate. And any man can get it. It's so bad that we'll even do it to our kids. And if you don't believe me, what is the average age of a Mississippi Valley State band member? They're kids. They're kids. And we are viciously attacking them on the internet because they are doing something that for them represents a once in a lifetime experience. So you can't play at Trump's inauguration, but you can be all up on the stage like Meg Thee Stallion and Beyonce supporting Kamala Harris's wild, gender-bending, perverse, degenerate political talking points and political objectives. That's okay. Transvestites in the bathroom with our daughters is fine. Men playing in women's sports is fine. But you bet not take your ass down to Washington to play as a band for President-elect Donald Trump, or you didn't cross the line and we got to reject you. Does that make sense to anybody? Like that doesn't make sense to me at all. And this is what our attention is totally focused on. And we've totally forgotten the fact that there's 14 people that's laid out dead that have died because New Orleans, the city, refused to come together after Hurricane Katrina and make sure that all their government and city services were operating and functioning, in a way that provided safety and security for the people of New Orleans. Instead, it was like, you know what? Hurricane Katrina came and wiped out thousands of us. Oh, well, let's get back to making this chopper city. And we started killing each other up. It doesn't bother anyone, the massive failure on behalf of the administration of the city of New Orleans to where somebody can drive a whole damn truck past barricades leading to Bourbon Street and run people down, right? Run people down unimpeded and then jump out the car and start gunning people down after he's run them down with his truck. Where were the police? I saw a few barricades up. The guy just drove right around them. Where's the ineptitude? Isn't the idea of a barricade to keep a car out? Because those barricades, those cement ones, they don't keep humans out. You can walk right through them. Isn't the entire objective of that to keep people from coming through with vehicles who may or may not be drunk driving, who may or may not want to commit a terrorist attack by using an automobile? Isn't that the entire point of the freaking barricades? So how did he get past you? How did he get past the police department of New Orleans, who was supposedly prepared for Mardi Gras this year, but now we looking down at 14 people dead? Make it make sense. Make it make sense. But I know why he was able to get past those barricades. Because the police officers of New Orleans have the same attitude as the citizens of New Orleans. They don't give a fuck. They don't give a damn about what's going on with anybody in that city. They look at those people in that city like they're animals, killing each other, doing all types of crazy shit to each other, and not even having no remorse. They're not going to look at you as a human if you don't look at you as a human. They're not going to care if you don't care. And that is what Black people want. We want other people to give a damn about what happens to us more than we give a damn. Hey, look, man, we don't got time to care about what's going on in our community. But we want you to care about it and focus on it. And if you don't care and focus on it, then we going to start raising hell. Whatever happened to the $90 billion the $90 million that Patrice Cullors received on behalf of Black people all over America from the corporations and the white man, right? On behalf of Black Lives Matter. Whatever happened to that? She took that money and moved to Calabasas. And you know what Black people said? We don't care. We don't give a damn. We want everybody else to care more than we do, right? Like literally, We want people to give a damn more than we give a damn about what's happening in our community. There's no way you can survive like that. There's no way. There's no community on earth that can survive, prosper, let alone thrive if they are waiting for other people to care about their community more than they do. But only a group of people who couldn't give a damn about what's going on in their community could say stupid stuff like, we don't need no leaders. We don't need no leaders. There ain't nobody to leader. We don't need no leaders. Is it that we don't need leaders? Or is it that we don't want to be led? Is it that we don't need leaders? Or is it that we simply don't want to be led? Is it that we don't need leaders? Or is it that freedom for the black man and the black woman is being able to do whatever the hell we want to do, whenever and wherever we want to do it? That's the problem. It's not that we don't need leaders and we don't need leadership. It's not even that there are no leaders out here. It's that we have created a culture that is built on this idea of radical disobedience and radical individualism, meaning I don't give a freak about anybody other than me. And if you try to stop me from doing what I want to do, when I want to do it, wherever I want to do it, you are an enemy. You are the ops. And if you're not black, you are a racist and you hate me. You're a self-hater. That's what's going on here. That's what we're dealing with in this community. And then you wonder why the community is down bad. You wonder why there's a terrorist attack in the city of New Orleans, and 3 days later, black people couldn't care less about that. They worried about what some white man, Skip Bayless, who he's sleeping with, or who he's trying to sleep with allegedly. It's got to be the most asinine thing I've ever experienced in my life. It has to be the most ridiculous thing I've ever experienced in my life. And then these Negroes will get on the internet talking about we need to delineate. Delineate? So I could be stuck with you niggas? You got to be out your freaking mind. A bunch of Negroes who don't give a damn about nothing. But when the next Jordan's coming out, a bunch of Negroes that don't give a damn about nothing except for trying to get a paycheck out of a government system in any way, shape, or form. That's who I'm supposed to delineate with? That's like telling somebody to leave their faithful wife to go be with a whore who cheats on them and runs around town with different men. Really? I'm supposed to give up my good thing for this and be happy about it? You got to be out your damn mind. I question someone's sanity if they expect someone to do something like that. It really doesn't make any sense. And no one has been on the front line pointing this stuff out more than me. Nobody. But what happens when you point out the reality of black folks? Oh, you just a hater. You just a hater. Well, was the guy who mowed those people down on Bourbon Street the other day, was he just a hater? Was he just a coon or a tether? He wasn't even none of those things. He was a regular black man who had a Muslim name. Now what? See, because when you refuse to insulate your community, when you refuse to take responsibility for your community becomes vulnerable. And when your community becomes vulnerable, that means every single negative or dangerous thing that comes into this country, you are going to be it's going to be of a greater threat to you than any other group in America. How is it that people can go into black strongholds and just commit crazy terrorist attacks and kill 14, 15, 20 people before they're gunned down by the cops? How? How can someone get to Bourbon Street and just mow people down with a car, knowing there's a bunch of people in the middle of that damn street, knowing it's going to be on New Year's Eve, knowing there's going to be thousands of people there? How does that happen? That happens when you are what the military would call a soft target. Black people are radicalized and vulnerable in America, and we are a soft target. Every crazy, deranged lunatic who wants to do something radical and make the evening news knows exactly what community he can go into, take dozens of lives with little to no risk to his own safety. It's the black community. What about the guy who shot up the grocery store in Buffalo? Or what about Dylan Roof, who shot up the church in Carolina? We could keep going. We are the number one most vulnerable group to terrorism. You want to talk about shooting guns? Let's talk about the terrorism that occurs in the classroom. Your children being subjugated to transgender ideology. Your sons being influenced and told that they're gay and they were born in the wrong body. And being violently radicalized against the traditional values of the black community. Yo, kids out here listening to other people more than they're listening to you. They trust these other people more than they trust you. And you're not dumb. You know these people don't give a damn about your kid. But why doesn't your kid know that? That's my question. Why are we still choosing to be focused on the wrong damn things? Tell me that. Why are we still choosing to be focused on the wrong damn things? And ignorance is no longer an excuse. I mentioned earlier that you got a damn computer in your pocket. And the computer is like a crystal ball. It can show you anything you want to see. But why are the things that you want to see not the things that are best for you? Why are the things that you want to see not the things that can uplift you as a community? And did you know that when the community is lifted up, the individuals are lifted up? But why is it that we don't want to see that? Why is it that we don't want to ingest that type of information? Information that can be life preserving for not only us, but for our women, our children, the people who we say we live for and we work for and we strive to do better for. Why can't that be what we're focused on? And even in saying this, I feel like, yo, this stuff is going in one ear and out the other one. Let me tell you something. My grandma used to tell me, it's going to tell on you before you tell on it. When you look at situations like Katrina, when you look at situations like what happened over in Buffalo, New York, when you look at situations like what happened on Bourbon Street, when you look at situations like what happened on in Carolina with Dylan Roof, when you look at situations like the woman police officer walked in his apartment and gunned him down, talking about she thought it was her place. When you look at situations like George Floyd, situations like Jordan Neely, you want me to tell you something? Black folks have had plenty of warnings. Black folks have had plenty of warnings about the importance and need for us to build up our communities, to insulate and fortify our communities against outside threats. And what have we done? What have we done? We've done nothing. We started with the Buy Black movement, the Buy the Block movement, helping people learn how to invest and build generational wealth. Yeah. But you know what happened to that? Free money happened to that. Soon as Negroes got wind of this idea that we all need to be wanting reparations, not this idea that we can get it, but just this idea that we should all be wanting it. What happened to We Buy Black? What happened to Buy the Block movement? What happened to all these resources that were being created to serve the African American community? What happened to it? We went from that to living in fear every day that some terrorist terrorist, radicalized jerk is going to blow up a building while we're standing inside of it. Didn't you learn anything from 9/11? The most important thing you should have learned is we have to change the way we do things. It's like the Tupac song said, we got to change the way we eat, we got to change the way we live, and we got to change the way we treat each other. But if you say that in open forum in the black community, you are the enemy. You are the ops. Everybody's there trying to shut you down. That's how opposed we are to doing what's right for our people. It's like Dr. Amos Wilson said, it's like the black man has been possessed by a European spirit where he prioritizes the safety and uplift of other groups of people over his own. Are you guilty of this trespass? Are you guilty of doing this? If you are, you know who you are. You can say you're not, but let's keep it real. You know you're just as guilty as everybody else. It's like the Lauryn Hill song. Everybody knows that they're guilty, right? Everybody knows that they're guilty, but what are they doing to change it? You've made it to the year 2025. I don't know how you got here, but you're here. Let me know when the right year is going to come along for you to change the way you do shit. Let me know when the right year is going to come along for you to actually listen to people who want to see our community doing better. Let me know when the right year is going to come along for you to put down the bullshit regurgitated talk about we don't need no leader. Shit like that. You've been saying that for freaking the past 60 years since King died. And where has it gotten you? You need something. If you don't need a leader, what do you need? Tell me. Tell me. AfroCuz TV is saying it. Yeah, the chickens have come home to roost. Guys, we didn't let all these, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris didn't let all these damn people across this border. We didn't already, thousands of people been caught. Hundreds of people have been caught who are on these different terrorist watch lists. Some of these people were allowed into the country. These people have literally set the stage for unprecedented chaos in this country. And you got the black community twiddling their fucking thumbs talking about, we don't need no leaders. Well, what do you need? Because right now, you're nothing more than a soft target. You ain't nothing more than a radicalized bum, radicalized on conspiracy theories, hyped up on freaking energy drinks and crack cocaine. What do you need then? Because you got to tell us what we need so we can know what we need to give you. Because sitting around and wallowing in your own ignorance, basking in your own sense of self-righteousness, that's not going to get you anywhere. That's not going to get us anywhere. And for some reason, in our community, we have a high propensity, a high capacity for feeling sorry for bums in black. Just because they're the same color as us, we feel like we have to have sympathy for them. And we're about to cross the finish line, but we see them fall down, so we got to get up, go back, and try to drag a damn corpse across the finish line. People used to say, oh man, the black man has everything stacked against him. The black man has to work 10 times as hard as everybody else to get the same achievement. That's not true. The black man has to learn how to let the dead bury the dead. The black man has to learn how to leave people behind who don't want shit. The black man has to learn how to harden his heart against people who don't want anything good for themselves or others or their community. You guys remember that scripture in the Bible? It's Sunday, so we preaching a little bit. Do you remember that scripture in the Bible? Let the dead bury their dead. That is the theme of 2025 for the Black community. See, I don't determine the theme for the Black community, but what I'm telling you is I'll give you a theme that the Black community should operate based on if we want to prosper. And the theme for the Black community for 2025, if we want to move forward and make any type of progress and insulate ourselves from the threats, that the credible threats that are already in this country, that's going to have to be the new moniker. Let the dead bury their dead. Because a lot of these Black people walking around ain't nothing more than corpses that's still breathing. They're dead. They don't, spiritually, they are dead. And when I say spiritually, I don't mean in a spookish sense. I mean like in the sense of school spirit. You know, when you go to the pep rally and they getting you all hyped up because you got the big game tonight and everybody going crazy and the cheerleaders in there shaking their ass and everybody's in there just getting hyped up, and they're building up school spirit. They're showing their school spirit, their belief in their ability to accomplish something. That is the sense in which I'm saying spirit. Your ability, your belief in your ability to accomplish things. Many of our people are spiritually dead, and it shows. They don't want shit. They ain't shit, ain't gonna be nothing. But what they can be and what they can function as, they can function as a ball and chain to stop you, to stop us from doing anything that we want to do. Right? There's an old guy named Zig Ziglar. He talked about the power of positive thinking, right? And later on, a guy wrote a book. What's his name? Power of Positive Thinking is written by, who wrote the book Power of Positive Thinking? I forgot. God dog it. I forgot his name. But you guys know, you guys are smart. But the guy Zig Ziglar said, having a positive thinking will not allow you to do anything you want to do, but it will allow you to do everything you want to do better than having than negative thinking will. Positive thinking will not allow you to do everything you want to do, but it will allow you to do anything you want to do better than negative thinking will. What is the guy named? Norman Vincent Peale. That's his name, I think. Norman Vincent Peale is the one who wrote The Power of Positive Thinking. But even just going around the Black community, even just getting on this internet, right? Getting on Beyonce's internet, as they call it. Everywhere I go in Black space, just negative, 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 negative. And I'm not saying negative in the sense of we're talking about the real issues that are facing our community and encouraging and chastising people and challenging them to do better, because I don't look at that as inherently negative. What I look at as negative is the largest channels in the Black community are the channels where they're tearing people down. I look at some video, Drake ain't black, or Drake claims to be a black man. 1 million views on this fucking video. And Black people in there talking about Drake ain't black, he this and that, he ain't black, da 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 da. Man, daddy blackest ever. So let me give you an example of the hypocrisy. Black man, you out here in these streets chasing everything that's lighter than a brown paper bag. The Chinese, the Mexican, the Puerto Rican, whatever you name it, we're chasing it. You produce kids with these people, right? They mama for sure ain't nothing nowhere near black. You're black. Your kids come out, they don't even look like you. But Drake's dad is absolutely black, African American, but he's not black. This is called being arbitrary and selective. And this is the nature of the ignorant black people, the ones we know as FBA. Everything they do, their entire way of thinking is arbitrary and selective. Rules for thee, but not for me. If Drake's dad has a baby with a white woman, his baby ain't black. But if my brother despises black women and run out and have kids with an Asian or an Indian or a Mexican, oh, those children have to be accepted by the black community as black. Make that make sense, right? Make that make sense. L.A. Thornton Martian said it. He said the black community understands Marxism because they speak the language of bitterness, Brandon. The black community understands Marxism because black people have a slave mind. And Marxism only appeals to people who have a slave mind. See, a slave mind always ends up with them being enslaved. Understand that. A slave mind always ends up, a slave's circular thinking always ends with him or her being enslaved. Think about back in the day, Harriet Tubman. Some people she couldn't even save because they didn't even know they were slaved. You get them 20 yards from the plantation. They freaking out, panicking. Maybe we should go back. Maybe we should go. And guess what? But they know if they go back, they're going to end up getting enslaved. Because that's what a slave mind desires. See, when you look, black people are in 2025 talking about slavery. We're not talking about slavery because it was a tragedy and it hurt us and all that stuff. We talking about slavery because we long for it. We long for it. We want to be enslaved. That's why every single mechanism that white folks have created that allows the black man to enslave himself to one thing or another, he is participating in it more so than everybody else. Whether it's drugs, whether it's this internet, whether it's any type of degenerate behavior, we long for the days of slavery. We long for the days when we didn't have to take responsibility for our own lives. Why do you think black people is out here asking for $15 trillion? We want so much money that we no longer have to take responsibility for our own lives anymore. Duh. That's what we want. We want the white man to give us so much money that we no longer have to care or worry about how to live or how we should live or what we're going to do for food tomorrow. Man, just give us so much money. So to give us enough money to kill all of our drive and our ambition, Mr. White Man. We're tired of competing out here. Even when it came to the tech situation with the HB1 visas, you don't hear black people like, man, we need to go out there and get more of these visas so we can get these jobs. They're just complaining. They're not even saying, let's get the people who abuse the system out. They're just like, they love it because it gives them an excuse to not go into tech. Gives them an excuse to not go into STEM. Gives them an excuse to not do anything to improve their lives. And that's what we're looking for. A lot of people only care about the reparations argument because the reparations argument and movement gives them the ability to not care about what's going on with them. It gives them an excuse to sit around and do nothing. Well, I can't do nothing until they give us our reparations. You know it's true. I know it's true. We know it's true. We know it's true. We just want the entertainment value. Last night I did a show about Charleston White and Tariq Nasheed. 350 people watching. Today we talking about something that's really important. 75 people watching. I mean, if you looking at these YouTube videos and that don't tell you, what else will? They keep saying these Negroes love throwing out this idea. Oh, Pan-Africanism is dead. No, nigga, you're dead. And guess what? When you die, only thing you can see is other dead people. You think Pan-Africanism is dead. What dead person know who's living? No, you're dead. You're projecting your spiritual state onto Pan-Africanism. You hate you hate us, you despise it. Like, just think in your mind, bro. They say that white supremacy is their enemy, but the only group they constantly attack is Pan-Africanists. That's the only group they attack. You go to any FBA, oh, white supremacy is the enemy, and then we fighting white supremacy. All you attack is black people who look like you. And you couldn't ask them what Pan-Africanism has done to hurt them. Oh, it's one-sided. Okay, move on. Move past it. If it's one-sided, don't participate. But what has it done to hurt you? What has it done to stop you? Oh, these immigrants come over here hating on us and they blocking us and they taking our opportunities. Well, who's giving it to them? Who's giving them the opportunity over you? Wouldn't that be the white man that you hate so much or claim to hate? Why would somebody, it's like you trying to chop down a tree, but you climbing up in the tree cutting down the apples. Like, I'm going to chop this tree down, so let me go up there and cut the branches first. What? You don't chop down a tree by clipping at the branches. You chop down a tree by going at the stump and the roots. So instead of going at the root of the problem, they're going to go address every damn leaf on every branch at the top of the tree. And they think that's effective. B Dinosaur said, the problem is black people think it's black versus white. In reality, it's us versus them. Us meaning the citizens, them meaning the state. I wouldn't even say it's us versus them as far as the citizens in the state. I would say it's us versus them, meaning the people who want something out of life versus the people who don't give a fuck about their life. See, a lot of people talk about this system of class warfare, and they think that that means like, oh, all the people on the bottom are against all the people at the top, and that's a goddamn lie. It's the people at the top tricking, not even tricking. It's the people at the top, the officials and stuff, the 1%. It's the people at the top recruiting the people at the bottom to attack the people in the middle. I keep telling people it's slightly more complicated than we want to give it credit for. But it is the people at the top, George Soros, all these type motherfuckers, recruiting the people who want to be at the bottom. They're joining forces to attack the people in the middle. It's the top, the elite, and the poor all joined up attacking the middle class. And if you really look at things for what they are, you'll see that. Just look at the family structure. Just look at look at your family right now. Some of y'all got good families, so I can't encompass everybody in this, but look at your family structure right now. The people who despise you the most in your family are either the people who have way more money than you or the people who have way less money than you. And if you, and look, your broke family members and your rich family members don't even talk to each other at all throughout the year. But if you go to the family reunion, the rich family members is over there in the corner with the brokest people in the family, and they all talking shit on the people in the middle. Am I wrong or am I right? Give me a 1 if you agree. Give me a 2 if you don't agree. I promise you to God. Look at it right now, like with the homelessness situation, with the bums and shit. Who is the person? Who are come to my state. Who are the people voting to allow these bums to roam these neighborhoods, vandalizing cars, attacking people, hurting people, using drugs on the sidewalk and all that shit? Do you really think the people who live in these communities, the people who walk to the local Starbucks every day are voting to have to step over a bum every time they want to walk into the door of Starbucks? Hell no. Even if they voted for it at one point, By now, they're like, hell no, this didn't backfire. This is not going the way I thought it would go. But who's keeping this situation afloat? The rich. The rich people who like, ain't no bum about to come way out here to be in my neighborhood. Ain't no bum about to go way to Calabasas to beg for change. Ain't no bum about to go way out to Hidden Hills to beg for change, right? Ain't no bum about to come 30, 40 miles from the city to go beg for change. They not coming to my neighborhood. Plus, I live in a gated community, so they can't even get in here. Where's the bum gonna be? The bum is gonna be in the middle class community, the middle class, the lower, and even sometimes the upper middle class community. But who do the rich people recruit to vote for that situation to keep being the way it is? The poor, the people who have nothing, so they have nothing to lose. You ever been around a poor person who try to make it seem like money don't matter because they don't have it? That's how my mom is. Oh, money ain't everything. Money ain't everything. Money ain't this. Money ain't that. Until she started making some money. Then money started to matter. There are many people who are like that. Money doesn't matter to them until they get some. Money ain't the end all be all until they get some. But usually when they get some, it ain't because they worked for it. It's because they figured out a way to steal it from somebody else. And when I say steal, I don't just mean like physically going and taking it. I mean like you figured out a way to, you have basically went to the booth and voted so the government could steal it for you from somebody who worked for it and redistribute it back to you. This is the way it is. Which said, this is the result of black people brainwashed into their communist revolutionary tactics, war of position. The black community thinks that being a slave is a kind of medal and that they are just and have some privilege because they are victims. 100%. We all see it, guys. We all see it. But do you know that the end game is not just seeing it? What we have to figure out is, how do we stop feeling sorry for these people? How do we stop letting what goes on with these people impact us in a way to where we actually feel concerned about it? How do we learn how to harden our hearts against these people? Not because we hate them, but because feeling sorry for these people is getting us absolutely nowhere. The more we feel sorry for them, the more our community regresses. So either we're going to save the community and let them go, or we're going to let the community die so we can continue to feel sorry for these people. I'm not giving no more bums money in 2025. I used to, not no more. You know why? I don't want your ass standing in front of 7-Eleven every time I walk up in there. Go to Long Beach, downtown Long Beach. Nothing but bums all up in front of that 7-Eleven. The front door of the 7-Eleven is boarded up with wood because the bums just break in they bust out the windows, go and take everything they want once the 7-Eleven closes. Do the bums care about our city? Do the bums care that when you walk down the streets of downtown Long Beach, the sidewalks are black from the filth that they spread all over? And they get out there with a shopping cart and spread shit all over the sidewalk, all in the street. Do they care about our community? No. But our community continues to care about them. And just because you're a bum and just because you have mental illness, that doesn't mean you don't know right from wrong. It just means you don't give a fuck about what other people, their needs, or what they or how you're impacting them with your behavior. A bunch of selfish ass people. America, in many ways, these inner cities is starting to look like the black community. A bunch of self-centered, self-indulged people who couldn't care less about how what they do impacts the next person in their community. And this has to change. I'm not telling you that you have to build up a community and you got to do this and do that and you got to go fight the good fight. I'm telling you that if you don't do it, don't complain. Because guess what? Everyone thinks something can't happen until it happens. Everyone says a thing can't be done until someone does it. There's no power in the universe that says black people always going to have to be in North America. Black people always going to have to be in the United States with the closest proximity to generational wealth and riches of any group. You can be phased out of this place just like anybody else. Just like the Indians. You want to be Indian so bad. You probably want to be Indian so bad because you have this feeling that you're going to end up just like them on a reservation somewhere out in the middle of Podunk, living in a damn trailer, eating freaking cans of Heinz beans for dinner every night. Maybe it's like for what is it called? What is it called for something? Maybe it's maybe when you talk about we the Native American, you're foreshadowing, right? But guys, that's all I want to talk about. I had to ramble on Sunday. I had a lot on my mind today, but I also got a lot done. I got a lot accomplished, and I didn't want to leave you guys with nothing tonight. I know a lot of you are going to be going to work in the morning. And the kids are going to be going back to school. Shout out to the kids. Y'all had y'all break. Now it's time to go back and get that free babysitting. You know how we do it. But we just gotta do better. Thank you so much for watching this. I appreciate every single thing you do for me in this channel. And until the next time, take care of yourselves, but most importantly, take care of each other.